Hey there, folks, settle in, 'cause I've got a story that'll make your jaw drop. A tale from Willow Creek, a sleepy little Oregon town where the air smells like pine and secrets, and where I, a Navy vet named Tom Carver, stumbled into a mess that changed everything I thought I knew about small-town life. Picture this. I'm sent to this quiet corner of the world, a place where the biggest news is usually who won the pie contest at the county fair, to sniff out some shady real estate deals threatening a nearby naval base. 3 days in, I'm hitting nothing but brick walls, locals clamming up, nervous glances over coffee at the diner, nobody wanting to talk about the big-shot developer, Victor Slade, and his fancy Willow Heights project. I'm frustrated, ready to call it quits, when I walk by a little gun shop on Main Street and see her Ellie Morgan, tearing down a sniper rifle like it's a dance she's done 1,000 times, her hands moving with a precision that stops me dead in my tracks. I push through the door of Morgan's Firearms, the bell jingling like it's announcing trouble, and I'm thinking, who is this woman? The shop's got that old wood smell, mixed with gun oil and a hint of something like cedar, rifles lined up on the walls like soldiers standing at attention. Ellie doesn't even look up, just keeps polishing the rifle's bolt, cool as a cucumber. Shop's closed, she says, voice low, steady, like she's sizing me up without moving her eyes. I introduce myself, Tom Carver, Navy, hear about some irregularities with the naval base and Slade's project, and she doesn't flinch, just gives me this look, like she's seen guys like me before, guys who think they've got it all figured out. You're not from here, she says, finally meeting my gaze, her eyes dark, sharp, like they could cut through steel. Then she lays it out, plain as day. Victor Slade's planning luxury condos right next to the base, with clear sightlines to every training range and comms tower a security nightmare. Mayor Helen Voss pushed through zoning changes faster than you can say bribe. Judge Leonard Marsh signed off on environmental waivers that should have taken months, and Victor's brother, Caleb Slade, is out there strong-arming folks like Sarah Tillman, a single mom who's holding onto her family's land like it's her last lifeline. I'm standing there, my pulse racing, because Ellie's just dropped intel that took my team weeks to piece together, and she's doing it like it's just another Tuesday. Now, I'm no stranger to tight spots, spent years on ships, dealing with crises that'd make most folks sweat through their shirts, but there's something about Ellie that's different, something that says she's not just some small-town gunsmith. Her hands, calloused, steady, move like they've handled more than hunting rifles, and when I ask her how she knows so much, she gives me this half-smile, says, I serve, Tom. Not the kind of service that shows up on a resume. I push a little which branch, and she shuts it down, quick, the kind that doesn't exist on paper. That's when I know I've found someone who's seen things, done things, maybe things I can't even imagine. She leans in, voice dropping. Victor's got this town locked down. Mayor Voss dreams of a state senate seat. Marsh is drowning in poker debts, and Caleb's playing bad cop to anyone who won't sell. You want to stop them? Depends how far you're willing to go. I'm hooked, not just because she's got the intel, but because there's this fire in her, this quiet, dangerous calm that tells me she's the key to cracking this wide open. So, that's where it starts. Me, a Navy guy out of my depth in a town full of secrets, and Ellie, a woman who's clearly more than she lets on, teaming up to take on a developer who's got the whole place in his pocket. We start digging, and it's like peeling back layers of rot. We meet at the Pine Grove Diner, where Mabel Hawkins, the owner, pours coffee and secrets in equal measure. She's been watching Judge Marsh cash checks he can't cover, muttering about debts in Portland card rooms. Deputy Nate Collins, one of the few cops not on Slade's payroll, slides into our booth with a folder full of irregularities, permits approved without studies, zoning changes slipped through unannounced council meetings, contracts handed to shell companies that don't exist on state records. Ellie's got her own network, 2 folks like Doc Emily Harper at the VA clinic, who's seen veterans come in with stress from Slade's pressure tactics, and Pete Callahan, a Korean War vet whose land borders the project and who's got a nose for trouble like he's still on the front lines. The deeper we go, the uglier it gets. Sarah Tillman, that single mom, is barely holding it together. Caleb's been showing up at her house, talking about how accidents happen to folks who don't play ball, hinting her kid, Joey, might have a tough time if she keeps fighting the buyout. I'm furious, but Ellie? She's ice cold, calculating, like she's already 3 steps ahead. They think they're the only ones who can play dirty, she says, her voice so steady it gives me chills. They're wrong. We start hearing whispers that Victor's not just a local problem, his company's got projects near bases in a dozen states. And Willow Creek's his test run, a blueprint for how to exploit small towns and skirt federal oversight. That's when it hits me. This isn't just about saving Sarah's house or stopping some condos, it's about national security, about keeping our bases safe from eyes that shouldn't be watching. Things come to a head one morning at the diner. Caleb Slade struts in, big as life, looming over Sarah while she's pouring coffee for the breakfast crowd. "You're making bad choices, Sarah," he says, loud enough for everyone to hear. Moms who don't cooperate sometimes find life gets complicated. The room goes quiet, folks staring into their plates, but Sarah's shaking, clutching the coffee pot like it's her only anchor. I'm about to step in when Ellie slides between them, smooth as silk, her voice low but sharp enough to cut glass. "Caleb, you're scaring folks in a family diner, not a good look. Why don't we take this outside? Have a little chat about your manners." He laughs, tries to brush her off, but there's something in her eyes, this quiet menace, that makes him pause. "You don't want to mess with me, lady," he growls, but she just smiles, says, "Funny, I was going to say the same to you. Keep pushing, Sarah, and you'll find out what happens to bullies in this town." The whole diner's watching now, and you can feel the tide turning. Folks who were scared are starting to nod, to whisper, to remember they've got a spine. That night, Ellie takes it to another level. She's out there in the dark, moving like a ghost, sabotaging Victor's surveillance team's fancy cameras and mics set up to spy on the town, all fried with what looks like electrical glitches but smells like military-grade precision. I'm on the radio, feeding her intel from my perch near the base, while Nate tracks Caleb's goons. When Ellie takes out their gear, it's surgical, a shot here, a tweak there, and suddenly Victor's guys are blind, scrambling, thinking they've got bad luck instead of a sniper on their tail. But Victor's not stupid. He doubles down, brings in armed contractors, guys with tactical vests and serious hardware, like he's prepping for war. Ellie's unfazed, says, "They're trained for city fights, not small-town shadows. They're in my territory now." The turning point comes when Jenny Harper, the local newspaper editor, gets a late-night email from some anonymous source, pages of documents, legal citations, timelines, proving Victor's permits are a house of cards built on lies. Jenny's no rookie. She's been digging into Slade's deals for months, hitting walls every time she requests records. This is dynamite. She calls me at 4 a.m., voice shaking with excitement. "Tom, this could end him." We meet at Pete's house, maps spread out, planning our next move. Ellie's there, marking surveillance spots she's already neutralized, saying, "Publish it, Jenny. Let's see how Victor likes the spotlight." The next morning, the Willow Creek Chronicle hits doorsteps with a headline that screams, "Feds probe Slade's illegal land grab." And suddenly, the whole town's buzzing. Victor's empire starts crumbling fast. Federal agents roll in tough as nails, EPA investigator Rachel Monroe leading the charge, waving warrants like they're battle flags. Mayor Voss is sweating bullets, stalling on documents, while Judge Marsh is practically shaking in his robes, knowing his gambling debts are about to come due. Ellie's out there, perched on a ridge with her rifle, watching Victor's contractors try to scare folks like Mrs. Clara Wentworth, an elderly widow who's been holding on to her home since her husband passed. When one of those goons gets too close, banging on Clara's door, Ellie takes a shot not at him, but at his radio, blowing it to bits from a mile away. The guy hits the dirt, yelling about snipers, and his buddies scatter like roaches. I'm on the radio, grinning like an idiot. "Nice shot, Ellie." She just says, "They'll think twice now." By noon, it's over. Federal agents swarm Victor's office, cuffing him while he's still yelling about his lawyers. Voss is hauled out of her house, her dreams of a big political career in ashes. Marsh is led from the courthouse, his judicial robes swapped for handcuffs. Ellie's still out there, making sure nobody tries anything stupid, but the fight's gone out of Victor's crew. They're packing up, calling for choppers to get them out of what they're now calling a combat zone. Back at the diner, Mabel's pouring free coffee for the feds, the locals, anybody who wants to celebrate. Sarah's there with Joey, looking like she can finally breathe, and Clara's telling everyone how she saw that goon dive for cover like a scared kid. There's this moment, right then, where I look around and realize Willow Creek's not just a town anymore, it's a family, forged in this fight. 6 weeks later, I'm back at Ellie's shop, watching her clean a vintage rifle for Mike Tanner, the local mechanic whose dad carried it in Vietnam. The place feels different now, no more looking over our shoulders, just sunlight streaming in, warming the old wood. Joey runs in, waving a school project about town heroes, with Ellie's name in big, crayon letters. Sarah's behind him, holding papers that say her house is hers, free and clear. Doc Harper stops by, says the stress-related illnesses she was seeing, heart palpitations, anxiety, are way down since Victor's arrest. Even Pete Callahan, grizzled old vet that he is, shows up with a letter from the VA, saying they want to study Ellie's work as a model for helping veterans find purpose back home. I'm heading back to DC soon, tasked with building new protocols to stop scams like Victor's near other bases. But I stop to tell Ellie, "You changed the game here." She just shrugs, says, "Just doing what I was trained for, protecting people who matter." And that's the thing about Willow Creek, it's a place where people matter, where a single mom, an old vet, a diner owner, and a sniper with a past nobody talks about can take down a giant. But it leaves you wondering, doesn't it? How many other towns are fighting battles like this? Quiet wars against folks who think they can buy or bully their way to power. What would you do if someone like Victor Slade came for your home, your neighbors, your way of life? Drop a comment below. Tell me what you think. Is justice worth the fight? Or are some battles better left alone? And if this story hit you like it hit me, hit that subscribe button. There's more where this came from. Stories about real people standing up when it counts. Thanks for listening, folks, and I'll see you in the next one.